All right.
Hi, we're finally ready.
Oh, are you ready now?
Kind of. Thank you for your patience. Go over there and tell me where my window is because I will move around a lot. So welcome to our second 28-day nutrition and wellness challenge here at Desert Devil CrossFit. Okay, I got my window of where I can wiggle around it. That's probably a good idea, David. So I'm going to start off with a quick question. Michelle, you've heard some of this before. She's the OG. She's here to rile you guys up. Because we want activity in the app. I'm just doing that disclaimer right now, so y'all better be ready. Okay. So how many of you guys have done some sort of nutrition challenge before?
A couple of us.
Cool. A couple of you?
I'm going to try this for a while. It's kind of like, okay.
Right on. How many of you lost weight doing that? Yeah? And then what happened when you stopped? It gained the weight back. Right. Okay. So we know that that is a struggle for most folks. That's why we do this the way we do, because we want to supply you guys with a foundation, the support, and the accountability, because that's where the magic happens. So after this challenge is over, then how do we support you through that is we will offer individual coaching one-on-one. Michelle's already been working with me since the last challenge and has made some pretty cool progress. So as the group, we'll be focusing on group activities, and then once the challenge is over, we'll be focused a little bit more on those individual specific goals that we talked about in our pre-challenge meetings. That's about it. Next. So starting with, this is my personal view as well, but working with Healthy Steps Nutrition, we believe that something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated. That's why we focus on a simple habit-based approach. Doing that, we look at a holistic view, right? So we're looking at other components of life. What are we doing with the other 23 hours of the day? Look at that. It's working. It's so cool. Nutrition is one. And then we're looking at stress, sleep, exercise, your support system, and lifestyle. Support system is one that we kind of want to hit home a little bit throughout this, because we know that we are the people that we surround ourselves with makes it easier or harder to be successful in our goals. So the objective of this little kickoff party is to, number one, help you guys understand how to set yourselves up for success during this challenge, and find out what you need to start with first. What's that one thing that you're going to be working on and focus on, and learn how to utilize the tools that we will impart to you to be successful on your journey. I'm not allowed to touch the electronics. I break things. Logan's like, no. Okay, so to start off, we kind of talked about this in your pre-challenge meetings, but we're going to refresh the mind and maybe something else will come to you. So first off, I want you to start thinking about a couple of these questions. What does success look like for you? Right? What in your mind's eye, if we had the magic wand and everything worked out exactly how you wish a year from now, how does that look? How does that feel? I also want you to think about what have you tried in the past, what worked and what didn't work, right? A little bit of those things. And then, wait, go back. The one thing that you struggle with the most. What's that big challenge? And then the final one is what inhibited you from getting those results that you were looking for last time. That could be family shit. It could be work was stressful, whatever. Like what were those monkey wrenches that got thrown at you that kind of threw you off course? Start thinking about those things. Maybe.
got this, Logan.
We're slow.
It was the same slide, all right?
But it's okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so we talked about goal setting. And I'm sure you guys, if you've been with us at any point in time, we're looking at those SMART goals. So we want to make sure they are specific. That's why we say, is there a certain weight you want to get to? Or is there a certain body fat percent you would like to decrease? Or is it, I want to get, instead of better at my pull-ups, do I want to get 5 pull-ups? Or do I want to improve my mile by X amount of time? He was like, no, I'm good. So specific, measurable. How do we know? Attainable. So not to be like, I want to lose 40 pounds in, 2 weeks. Absolutely not going to happen. And if it does, you might be dead. So that's not very smart. Realistic, and then time sensitive. So we want to make sure we have a clear, concise goal that we're trying to get within a time frame. Something I heard the other day was, how was it? Like a wish is just an idea, or a wish is just a dream if you don't put a timestamp on it, if you don't have an end game. I butchered that, but you get what I'm trying to say.
We've probably all heard it before,
We've heard
right?
it before. It's fine. Let's see. Let me see. What am I missing here? What can I talk about? Pretty much what I covered. Okay, next. Voila. Okay, so what we are going to talk about here is focusing on one thing at a time, the basics. So once you nail that one thing, that's why we keep it at a simple habit-based approach. You start with one thing, focus on that one thing. When you get to where that one thing is no longer the primary thought, then you move on to the next thing, right? So we start with very small little habits, and it's much easier to add things or swap than just removing, right? It helps our psyche just a little bit. So like, for example, instead of saying, I can't have something, make your normal plate and then maybe add some veggies to your plate, right? We're just adding things on top to make it a little bit more well-rounded. So a couple of things that we want to start to put in the forefront, what we are going to be utilizing for the next 28 days is we want to choose real food over fake food or food products, right? We're going to do a closet clean out. Progress over perfection, right? So it's not, if I don't do this exactly how it is every day, 100%, I'm a failure, I quit, oh, it's not worth it, nothing works, right? We kind of want to try to erase some of that and just think about those consistent small changes and additions that we can do daily so it is sustainable. Our goal is to do this forever, right? Incorporate these because we want to stay healthy for a long time. We want to look at, start looking at food labels if you are not already. And then the final one is we're going to be talking about the plate method and keeping that balanced plate. So we have 4 pillars that we're going to focus on. The first one, as I fall over, is most of you guys do this already, but if you're not, I mean, because you're in the gym, so you're moving at least an hour when you're here. 30 minutes of movement each day. That does not mean you have to do a CrossFit style workout every day. 30 minutes of movement could be going for a walk. It could be doing 10 air squats at a time throughout the day. We want to accumulate, and we can acquire that either if it's a 10-minute walk and a 10-minute walk and a 10-minute walk, you still hit that 30 minutes. So again, big picture, progress over perfection. We're going to be focusing on getting 7+ hours of sleep. That is for our recovery and our sanity. In a row, preferably, yes, David. Good question. That is the goal, 7 hours of sleep at night, or if you are a shift worker, at least altogether. That's the goal. And then we're going to be doing 10 minutes of stress management daily. What does that look like? That could be some meditation. It could be reading. It could be yoga. It could just be doing some breath work. Anything that's going to help you woosah for at least 10 minutes a day. Each day in your app, you will see these 4 things to check off. There's a category for each one, and we want to check those off each day. So the first principle we're going to talk about is adding whole foods into your diet. Okay. We've talked about this before in our previous nutrition classes. How do we do that? We shop the perimeter of the grocery store, right? That's where the whole foods are. Everything in between is in a box, and it's not our primary choices. I'm not saying you can never go down those aisles, but we want to say primarily shop the perimeter. Get those fruits and veggies, get the meat, get the dairy, get the eggs, and those kind of things. There we go. Next, plate method. This is how we keep it super simple. We want to focus on 1/4 of your plate, right? It's there, is your protein. That we want to think about as the size of the palm of your hand and the thickness of the palm of your hand. I've done this, and I've actually weighed and measured. If you do this, you will get your protein that you need. It's literally, if I put a piece of chicken breast about the size of the palm of my hand, it's like 3 to 4 ounces. For me, that's a good serving per meal. Yes?
What about if we eat like 2 hands? Chicken. Is that a no-go?
That is a total go. Total go.
Okay, so protein, you could have more. When I
Yes.
think about like how little, I was like,
Yes.
okay.
Exactly. And that goes into a little bit more specific stuff, but yes, you need more protein. You are very active. You're riding your bike, you're hiking, you're camping, you're doing all these things. In order to maintain that muscle, you need protein. So kind of going into a couple other things, like every one of these things that we're going to go on once we get past the plate method is going to be slightly individualized, right? Not everybody is going to get the exact same amount of protein or exact same amount of fat or carbs, right? This is the basic, and then you make it work for you. Okay? That is really hard to do.
Yeah, I was thinking
like 1 chicken breast.
I know. It would not be enough. I get like 2 chicken breasts.
So that's not gonna.
No.
Yeah, more.
No.
Potatoes and.
Yeah. Okay, so 1/4 of the plate is protein. 1/4 of the plate is your starchy veggies or carbs. So we're looking at things like spaghetti squash, yams, potatoes. They use butternut squash a lot in the videos and stuff. Maybe rice. It could be a piece of bread. Whatever it is, we want to just think about the ratios. And then the whole other half of the plate we want is what we call our volume or non-starchy veggies. That could be just about anything else. That's your green beans, your broccoli, your carrots, your peas, your lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, any of those veggies you can eat till the cows come home. If you've ever heard or done like Weight Watchers, back in the day they used to have like the cards and the points and all the methods. Those are free. Those are 0 points. And then as we are clearing our plates, you want to think about eating your volume veggies first, then your protein, then your starchy carb or starchy veggies. If you think about how our bodies process things, I was like, oh, I had this epiphany. Like when you go somewhere and you get like this fancy like 7-course meal or even a traditional meal, you usually get some sort of fruit or something like that first. That fiber helps slow down the digestion, which slows down the digestion for everything else. And it also helps release those enzymes that we need. So it kind of lays the foundation for a healthy digestion. then we get our proteins, and then we fill it up with the carbs. So if you've done that and you're still hungry, either go back to the free veggies or maybe add a little bit more protein. Nuts? Those are fats.
Okay. Was that 0 or was that?
What was?
Go into it.
Yes, I don't know what happened. I don't see. It's like I don't know what comes out of this, and I don't know what these do. They have a mind of their own. So the second principle is focusing on balance, and from here I will hand it off to
Oh, heck yeah.
Logan.
So, balance. CrossFit recommends that our balanced diet would look like 30% of the calories we eat coming from protein, about 40% of our calories we eat coming from carbs, and about 30% of the calories we eat coming from fats. So what I say to a lot of my nutrition clients is, somewhere between 30 and 40 each is good to go, right? The closer we get to a balanced diet, the better our body will be able to handle whatever recovery or activity we are going to see throughout the day. Okay? So, with all of that in mind, if we were to implement the plate method, like that is a very easy way to find balance throughout the day. Just because if we are eating, the volume starch or the volume carbs or the starchy veggies and the meat, and using oil or butter in the meal or in the cooking, like we're gonna see good amounts of protein, good amounts of carbs, and good amounts of fat. So with that in mind, if we could in a perfect world, we would be able to see balance in both our meals and our snacks. But that's tough to do. It takes practice, and it takes a lot of intentionality with our meal prep and eating. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about some strategies or some ideas to get more protein or manage our carbs or by eating good amounts of healthy fats into our diet. Okay? So with that in mind, protein. So we'll talk a little bit about what proteins are. Proteins are essentially a macronutrient that is made up of smaller molecules called amino acids. Those amino acids are put together in long chains, and each chain has a different function for the body. These functions can be, any ideas? What can some of these proteins or amino acids do for us? Why is it important that we eat them? Helps build muscle, build and maintain. Absolutely. What else do proteins do? Yes.
Really muscle, that's all the cells.
About 70% of our body's tissue is made up of protein. So if we are eating good amounts of protein, the cellular structures in our body will be benefited. If we are not eating enough protein, everything is going to struggle to hold on to what it has. Right? So beyond that, though, things like tissue repair when we get a cut or when we get a bruise, a lot of that comes down to the proteins being able to make those repairs. Our skin, hair, and nails rely on the proteins that we eat. Right? All of this stuff relies on the proteins in our body. So with that in mind, on a more tangible or in a way that we can feel it, proteins also help us stay satisfied for longer. So the more protein we eat, it's more likely that we'll want to eat less, just because we're going to stay satisfied for longer. One thing to consider when it comes to proteins is fattiness versus leanness. Proteins, especially when we dive into meats, are going to have a couple of different variations, I suppose, that all will have different amounts of fat contained within them. For example, if we were to take like a super nice Wagyu beef steak or something like that, right? If we were to eat something like that, that is going to be a very fatty cut of meat. Same thing with bacon or sausage or things like that. On the other hand, a lean chicken breast or a grass-fed steak or something like that, those are going to be leaner and have a higher protein content than fat content. During this challenge, pay attention to the types of protein that you guys eat, because our goal is to get more of those lean proteins so that we can stay closer to that balanced idea with our meals. The reason we want to shoot for more of a lean protein is because I'm going to erase this. I don't know what's back there, but I hope it's not important. So when it comes to our proteins, every gram that we eat is going to equal about 4 calories. Yes, that's an R right there. Okay. So 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind as we talk about the rest of this. But let's go over some ideas for protein sources. Here's a list of